All right, how you doing, Haggerty Facebook audience? I'm Brad Phillips here again from another auction here in Scottsdale Auction Week. We're at the Lake auction, and this is the first time Lake has been here and had a big tent and done all this during this big week. So they've got a lot of really neat cars. The vibe here is lively. It's really loud inside where they're running the cars across. We're standing here right next to something that is potentially the most expensive car that they will sell. And it is a 1964 Cheetah. Now, I like weird hybrid cars, little things with big engines that shouldn't do what they're supposed to do. And this is actually a really good example of that. This 64 Cheetah is the number 3, this is the third one they built. And as my understanding, it's the second fiberglass car that they built. This thing ran at Daytona, and from the restorer, I'm told, they actually had to tape the doors shut because it was going so fast. It was going 215 miles an hour. It was going over 30 miles an hour faster than anything else there. It was caving in the fiberglass on the nose. Really wild. So it's fuel injected small block Chevy there, and it's absolutely amazing what this is doing. Love these things. You see one of these come up every now and then for sale, not really very often at all. And you want to talk about dangerous. I mean, I don't know how these things stay on the ground when they go, but these are really neat. Love these cars. This is known as the Jerry Grant car. And as you can tell, really Spartan inside, just the basic instruments that you may need to run this thing. But big filler, kind of a big Cobra filler. But I love it. Scoops air from up there, drives into that giant radiator that was supposedly a 1962 NASCAR radiator. So they really pieced the best high-performance parts they could figure out at the time to make these things run and do what they did. So these things, I think, have sold anywhere between $700 grand and $1 million. So we'll see what happens. But again, this one could be the most expensive car that's sold at the Lake auction. This is kind of their special area here. This is actually a really fun one too. And I hate to keep wandering around. I'm making Matt crazy, but this is I think this is a 57, if I'm not mistaken. What does it say over there? But I look at this convertible with those big fins on it. Yeah, 58. So I was close. So this is a 392 Hemi. If I could pop the hood, I guarantee you it's got twin 4-barrel carburetors on it. And I think we talked about one of these before, and I did a open road rally in a coupe version of one of these, and it stayed with everything out there. This was arguably this body in 57 was the first NASCAR car that was built. So, and the fastest car that you could buy that was an American production car in 1957. So I don't know if that exactly carried to 58, but I can't think of anything else in 1958 that eclipsed all of that. So perhaps our commenters can tell us about it. So we'll just kind of walk up here and see what else they have. Again, the formula is very much the same here as it is at some other auctions. You've got these really big tents that protect everyone from the sun and any rain should that ever happen here in the desert, here in Arizona. Everybody has a chance to walk around and inspect the cars. Nice Thunderbird. These have always been popular. Kind of value-wise, it's been interesting to watch these kind of go up and then plateau out. It seems like there's always one or two of these for sale kind of everywhere you go. This is a pretty neat car, though. Awfully pretty. Love it. Yeah, 56 Thunderbird. You know, when you've got a car that's so popular, they end up remaking it, you know, in the 2000s, which becomes another really popular collector car. So it was cool. I always love reading the little things that they have. So if Matt tightens in, every car that's sold, they'll have a note for people on, here's how you start it, here's the trick, pull the choke out halfway, ignition switch is loose, because they've got a lot of folks that have to jump in and move these things around, and old cars are potentially finicky, so you never really know. There's a newer car, there's a BMW i8. That's pretty neat. So again, a mix of lots of different stuff. And this is still for sale. So when you look at these signs here at this auction, this one obviously is already run, and it says this vehicle is still for sale. So most of the time with these contracts, they have some period of time after it runs that it's still in their care and control, and they get the chance to sell it and still reap their commission. So I love all the swooping lines on these things. These are actually really, really epic. This is a very popular car. Got some Ford trucks and some Corvettes. Hey, hey, we were looking at your Cheetah over there. The owner of the Cheetah, he's obviously also hopeful that it sells for big bucks. And you walk down the line, the auction's still happening. I don't know, these grow on me a lot. That's a really pretty Trans Am. Colin Comer was schooling me on Trans Am stuff earlier today. Again, for sale. So you could look at the Hagerty Insider app, and you could go to the Lake auction, and you could scroll back, and you can see exactly where it got to. This one obviously had a reserve on it, and it'll show you on the app, you know, unsold at 26.5K or something like that. So curious to see as to where that one is. Now, I like these a lot, and our illustrious cameraman, Matt, he's also a fan of these Civic Si Type Rs. These are wicked. I'm kind of surprised to see one here at auction, because I think you can still find one of these kind of a lot of places, but someone is gambling that they want this thing to go, and maybe they make a profit of some kind. Sometimes dealers will actually bring inventory to these, so maybe they had got it kind of a wholesale deal. They want to see if they can retail it out to somebody, but all these little bits of aero and all this, I mean, believe it or not, they wind tunnel test these things, and all these things create these little vortices, and they all make sense. So, but certainly a wild design. Yenko is a big name. Obviously, I'm more partial to the old ones, but they certainly do these supercharger kits and things like that. This one calls it out right on the engine cover. 1,000 horsepower, supercharged. We've got good friend in Ken Lingenfelter, who has come and done a lot of panels and stuff with us, and he sells a lot of kits for GM products that make a lot of power, so that's kind of reminiscent of what he's doing. Go back into European land here with a 280 SL. Nice cruiser. Most of these are automatics. And then a 450 or a 380. Oh, and see, that's a next generation body style, but still a 280 SL. Interesting. Is this your car? So I think that's interesting that you've got the first generation 280, and then you carry through right here. So are you selling both of these cars?
Yeah, they've been through, but they didn't make the reserve.
Oh, so are all the cars in this part of the tent, they're all ready to go for post-sale?
Yeah, this one's later.
So that one hasn't run yet. And that one's yours as well?
No reserve tested.
Now, I'm going to go to the ledge here and say that this is a bone stock 1955 Mercedes Gullwing. Or not. So this is a 1955 300 SL Gullwing Tribute. So this is, I would guess, fiberglass, built on something, maybe a Corvette, but I don't really know. Let's see, actually, if it tells us what the heck it's built on. It does not. Oh, there it is. Titled as a 1999 Mercedes. So some, maybe an SL, maybe who knows what, 1999 Mercedes gave itself up to live in this package. This is absolutely one of the most iconic shapes that you could have. From 55 through 62, I think, they made the Gullwings. And very, very famous cars, very ahead of their time. 6-cylinder engine kind of tucked over on its side so it would actually fit in there. That's why actually you have these strakes on the hood, so it would have the air box and things that would fit underneath it. Very famous. Early Corvette. So everybody pretty much can tell, you know, a pre-55 Corvette. 55 was the first year you could get a V8. So these has the famous Blue Flame 6 in it. 53s were the first years for these. And this is number 87, so it's advertised as the 87th Corvette built. Obviously, it's got a blue ribbon from the NCRS. top flight award. That's really important with Corvettes. So the NCRS, the National Corvette Restore Society, they are ultra picky in their judging to make sure that everything is done absolutely perfectly right. And we're talking about head bolt marks, all the numbers have to match, and they've got every way to tell if the components on the car and the way they were built were the way they would have done it appropriate to it. So you can generally trust that, and I think that's really cool. And then you go to the other side where you've clearly got a LS3 equipped hot rod, 62. And this is something somebody built to just go and have a lot of fun with. They weren't particularly worried about provenance or any of that sort of thing. So 15 since it. So you built this?
No, the guy that owned it down there.
Okay.
So yeah, it's got 15 miles on the whole car.
That's really amazing.
Nice and everything.
So is that the world famous quote, test miles only?
Yeah.
It's beautiful. And I like this, kind of a Grand Sport replica, tribute. That's really cool. Honestly, if you wanted to get a car that you could run in some of these road rallies out in the desert, now this would be really fun. I would still kind of want to, well, I guess you can't, you could probably put air conditioning on that if you wanted to, if you wanted to get a little more comfortable. But I love this style here. This is really, really neat. It's got modern gauges in it. See, I would put stock type Corvette gauges in it, or what it would have looked like in period. I think that would be fun. So if the hood's shut, you can't tell. But this guy has put this together this way, and honestly, the gauges that are in it are probably a whole lot more accurate than if you'd use some other type. You actually go down the line, you start to see quite a few more Corvettes. There's looks like a Dodge Demon over there. It's a nice color. I always like these C3s. It's hard to know. So when you look at all these different cars, you have to really be looking for something, because there are, I don't know, there's 1,000 cars here, probably more, that you could buy. So when buyers come in, they're not doing what I'm doing. They're not walking up and down, looking at every little thing, trying to figure out, I'll buy that. Most of the time people come in, they know what they want, they've looked at the run lists, and they know when it's going to go, sometimes. Or you just see a good deal when you grab it. But it's pretty fun at Lake Auction. We like it. That's Jeff. He's one of the writers of our magazine, so he's looking for stories here too. So we're all kind of patrolling around. I'll end on this Stingray over here because I really like it. A lot of people with these things make these great things to show, and a tank sticker on a Corvette is a really cool thing to have. And they obviously advertise that they have it. And it is still for sale. So if you're in Arizona, there's only, I think, this and Barrett-Jackson, the only places you can still see an auction today. And Russo's got one too, so there's 3. So we're winding down auction week. Really appreciate you guys hanging in with us for all this stuff. And take care. I'm Brad with Haggerty, and we'll maybe see you on the other side of the desert.